There's a phone call that exists from July 4th, 2026, 4 p.m., give or take. A teenager, panicked, calling a boat towing company because the boat he's on is taking on water. The dispatcher asks a simple question: how many people are on board? Yeah, everyone is on board. That's the answer. Except Nolan Wells wasn't on that boat, and 2 days later, his body was found in the water off Horn Island, Mississippi. I want to be upfront with you before we get into this one, because it's different from a lot of the cases we usually cover. This isn't solved. Nobody's been charged with anything. There's an active grand jury process right now, and Nolan's own family has publicly said they don't think they have the full picture yet. So this isn't going to be a story where I walk you to a tidy ending. It's going to be a story where I walk you through exactly what's actually been confirmed, what's still just an open question, and where the family themselves say the gaps are. And at the end, I'm going to play you that actual recording, not a description of it, the real audio, so you can hear it exactly the way investigators did. Let's start at the beginning. Horn Island sits off the Mississippi Gulf Coast, a barrier island, federal land, popular for boating trips over the holiday. It's the kind of place people go precisely because it feels far from everything. No real cell service in parts of it, no roads, just sand, water, and a handful of boats anchored close together on a day like the 4th of July, when half the Gulf Coast seems to end up out there at once. Nolan Wells was 18 years old. Reports describe him as a well-liked college football player, the kind of person whose disappearance, when word started spreading, didn't feel real to the people who knew him. On July 4th, he headed out to the island with a group of friends for the holiday, the way thousands of other people up and down that coastline did that same afternoon. At some point that afternoon, and the exact timing is one of the things still being pieced together, Wells reportedly became separated from the group. Members of the group say he was last seen around 3 p.m. I want to pause on that phrase for a second because it's going to come up again and again in this case. Became separated. It's doing a lot of work in that sentence, and it's vague on purpose because nobody, not the friends, not investigators, not the family, has offered a precise account of what that separation actually looked like. Did he walk off on his own? Was there a disagreement? Was it as simple as a group spread out across a crowded sandbar losing track of one person in a crowd? All of those are still open possibilities. Around an hour later, at approximately 4 p.m., a call comes in to Seatow, a private towing company, from a different boat, one carrying some of Wells's friends. That boat is taking on water. A bilge pump has failed, which, if you're not familiar with boats, is the pump that's supposed to keep water from accumulating in the hull. When it fails, water builds up, the boat sits lower, and if nobody catches it in time, the boat can genuinely start to sink. The caller sounds panicked, confused even. He can't clearly answer basic questions the dispatcher is asking. When asked how many people are aboard, he says everyone is on board, and specifically states there's no one under the age of majority and no one over 21. Nolan wasn't with them. I think it's worth sitting with that moment for a second rather than rushing past it, because it's the single detail that's driven more speculation about this case than anything else. A stressed-out teenager, mid-emergency, on a boat that's actually taking on water, gives a quick and inaccurate head count to a dispatcher he's never spoken to before. On its own, that's an extremely ordinary thing to happen during a chaotic moment. People misspeak under stress constantly, especially when they're trying to keep a boat from sinking and answer questions at the same time. But it's also the exact detail that, months later, means investigators are treating every word of that call as evidence to be time-stamped and cross-referenced. Both of those things can be true. It can be an understandable mistake made under real pressure, and it can also be a piece of evidence that matters enormously to figuring out what actually happened. That's not a contradiction. That's just what evidence in an unresolved case looks like before anyone's had the chance to fully explain it. The boat eventually makes it back to the mainland. Wells does not. He's reported missing that night, July 4th. 2 days later, on the morning of July 6th, Nolan Wells' body was found in the water off Horn Island. I'm not going to speculate about cause of death here because, and this is important, nobody official has said what it was yet. An independent autopsy, commissioned by his family, came back with the cause and manner of death listed as undetermined pending investigation. The official state autopsy, conducted by Mississippi State Medical Examiner on July 7th, exists, but its results are being withheld until a grand jury has reviewed the case in full. So even now, weeks later, there is no public determination of how Nolan Wells died. That's worth sitting with, because a lot of the online conversation around this case has moved faster than the actual facts have. There are theories about what happened to Nolan circulating everywhere right now. Message boards, comment sections, other true crime channels, and I want to be honest with you. As of this recording, none of them are confirmed by any official source. Not the state, not the sheriff's office, not the family. When the actual determination comes out, it may confirm what people are already assuming. It may not. Right now, we simply don't know, and I'd rather tell you that plainly than pretend otherwise for the sake of a cleaner story. It's also worth understanding just how much attention this case has already drawn, because it shapes everything happening around it right now. This isn't a quiet, contained local story. It's generated protests. It's drawn national reporters onto the ground in Mississippi. Wells's university has publicly commented on it, expressing sorrow over the loss of someone connected to their football program. And that level of attention cuts both ways. It means more resources, more scrutiny, more pressure on investigators to get this right. But it also means more noise, more speculation, more people online who've never set foot on that island, forming confident opinions about exactly what happened, based on fragments of information that are still incomplete. I think that's worth naming directly, because it's part of the story too. A case like this, once it goes national, stops being just an investigation. It becomes something people argue about, take sides on, build entire theories around, often faster than the actual facts can keep up with. State officials have had to step in more than once just to ask the public to slow down. That's not a common thing for officials to feel the need to say publicly. It tells you how far ahead of the evidence the public conversation has already gotten. Let's slow down here, because I think this is where a lot of coverage of this case goes wrong, jumping to conclusions the evidence doesn't support yet, in either direction. So let me lay out, clearly and without embellishment, what has actually been confirmed through official statements and public reporting. 1. Nolan Wells went to Horn Island on July 4th with a group of friends and did not return with them. 2. A boat carrying some of those friends experienced mechanical trouble, a bilge pump failure, and called for a tow at approximately 4 p.m., roughly an hour after Wells was reportedly last seen. 3. On that call, the caller told the dispatcher everyone was on board, which did not include Wells. 4. Wells's body was recovered in the water off Horn Island 2 days later, on July 6th. 5. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office has confirmed the FBI is assisting in the investigation, largely because Horn Island is federal land, which the sheriff himself has said isn't unusual for cases there and shouldn't be read as a sign of anything more sinister on its own. The FBI has separately confirmed it's looking into what it called interstate threats made against individuals connected to the case, meaning people involved have reportedly received threats from outside the state of Mississippi. 6. More than 60 witnesses have been interviewed, including the 3 friends who were on the boat with Wells that day. 7. An independent autopsy commissioned by the family returned an undetermined cause and manner of death. The official autopsy result exists but hasn't been released publicly. It's being held for grand jury review, which is standard procedure in cases where a death is treated as suspicious enough to warrant that level of scrutiny. That's it. That's what's actually confirmed, as far as public record goes. Everything past this point, motive, intent, exactly what happened in the gap between when Wells was last seen and when that tow call went out, is still an open question. And I want to spend some real time on those open questions, because I think that's actually the more honest way to cover a case like this while it's still unfolding, rather than filling in the blanks with whatever theory sounds the most compelling on camera. Here's what remains unresolved, as of everything publicly available right now. We don't know Nolan's cause or manner of death. Not accident, not something else. Undetermined means undetermined. Anyone online stating it definitively, in either direction, is going further than the actual evidence has gone, and I'd encourage you to be skeptical of anyone who claims certainty here, including other creators covering this case. We don't know exactly what happened in the roughly hour-long gap between when Wells was last seen by the group and when that distress call went out. That gap is the center of almost everything unresolved about this case. An hour isn't a long time, but it's long enough for almost anything to have happened. And right now, nobody outside the investigation has a confirmed account of it. We don't know why the caller on that recording told the dispatcher everyone was on board when Wells wasn't with them. That could be panic and confusion during a genuine emergency. The audio itself does sound chaotic, with the caller struggling to answer straightforward questions clearly. Or it could mean something else entirely. Right now, there isn't public evidence to confirm either interpretation, and I'm not going to pretend there is just to give you a more satisfying answer. We don't know why, according to statements from Wells' family, no photos or videos turned up on his Snapchat account from that day, which his family has said is unusual because he reportedly documented social gatherings often. That's a detail the family has raised publicly, and it's the kind of detail that's easy to read a lot into. But on its own, it hasn't been explained by investigators, and there could be several mundane reasons for it. Phone issues, lost signal on the island, 100 other things, alongside less mundane ones. We simply don't have enough information yet to know which it is. And we don't know what's in the official autopsy report because it hasn't been released. That's arguably the single biggest missing piece in this entire case, and it's being deliberately withheld until the grand jury process runs its course, which, again, is standard procedure, not evidence of anything on its own. Grand juries review cases like this specifically so that all available evidence gets weighed properly before anything becomes public in a way that could shape opinion prematurely. Here's where this case gets genuinely complicated because there are two accounts running in parallel right now, and they don't fully agree with each other. One of Wells's friends, Warren Hudson, spoke publicly on a podcast about that day. He said he wasn't on the same boat as Nolan initially, but that they'd had a couple of conversations while out on the island earlier. According to Hudson, when the boat he and others were on started taking on water, Nolan chose to stay behind rather than come with them. Hudson pushed back directly on the idea that Nolan was left behind or ignored, saying, in his words, it wasn't like they didn't ask Nolan, or that they just left him. They were in the middle of an emergency, actively trying to save a boat that was sinking under them. That's one account, from someone who was there that day, given on the record, in his own words. On the other side, Wells's family has publicly raised questions about the entire sequence of events, specifically citing what they've called conflicting accounts from the people who were with him, and the circumstances around how he became separated from the group in the first place. They've continued pushing for a fuller accounting of what actually happened, and state officials have specifically asked the public not to rush to conclusions while the investigation continues, which, if you think about it, tells you something on its own about how much pressure and speculation is already surrounding this case online, enough that officials felt the need to say something about it publicly. I want to be really clear about something here, because I think it matters more in this case than almost any other one we've covered. Presenting both of these accounts isn't me suggesting either one is more credible than the other. It's the opposite. It's why I think you, watching this, shouldn't draw a hard conclusion either way yet. One is a first-hand account from someone present that day, defending the group's actions during what he describes as a real and frightening emergency. The other is a grieving family, working with limited information handed to them piece by piece, saying the story they've been given doesn't fully add up. Both of those things can be true at the same time without either one being a lie. A person can tell the truth as they experienced it and still leave out details that matter, not out of malice, but because trauma and chaos don't produce clean, complete memories. That's not an accusation against anyone. That's just how memory and crisis actually work. Anyone who's ever gone through a genuinely frightening, fast-moving event knows how unreliable your own sense of time and sequence becomes in the middle of it. Ask 5 people who lived through the same car accident, the same house fire, the same emergency, what order things happened in, and you'll often get 5 slightly different timelines, not because anyone's lying, but because adrenaline doesn't record memory the way a camera does. That doesn't mean nothing here deserves scrutiny. It means scrutiny and accusation aren't the same thing, and this case, more than most we cover, requires holding on to that distinction. So here's why this newly released recording matters, even though it doesn't answer the biggest question in this case. It's the closest thing that exists to a real-time snapshot of what was actually happening on the water in the hour after Nolan was last seen. Not a memory, not a statement given weeks later to investigators after time to think it over. A live phone call, made in the moment, panic and confusion included, exactly as it happened. Legal analysts covering this case have said records like this, the exact timestamps of every call made from that boat, could help clarify whether negligence played any role in what happened. That's a meaningful word, negligence. And it's worth being precise about what it actually means, because I think it gets thrown around loosely online. Negligence is a legal standard about a failure of reasonable care. It is not automatically the same thing as someone intentionally causing harm. A negligence finding, if there ever is one, wouldn't mean anyone meant for Nolan to die. It would mean, potentially, that a reasonable standard of care wasn't met. Those are two very different things, legally and morally, and conflating them does a disservice to how seriously this needs to be sorted out. Investigators are reportedly going through this audio timestamp by timestamp, cross-referencing it against everything else they've gathered from more than 60 witness interviews, trying to build a minute-by-minute account of a day that, right now, still has real gaps in it. What the recording doesn't do is tell us what happened to Nolan himself in that same window of time. He's not on that call. Nobody on that call is with him. It's a piece of the timeline, not the resolution to it, a fixed point investigators can build outward from, in both directions, but not an answer in itself. It's also worth thinking about why this specific piece of audio was released now, months after the fact, rather than earlier or not at all. Records like this typically become public through official requests. In this case, reporting indicates it was obtained through a public records request rather than volunteered by investigators outright. That distinction matters. It suggests the release wasn't necessarily a strategic move by the sheriff's office to shape public perception, but more likely a byproduct of transparency laws that apply to emergency dispatch records generally, regardless of how sensitive the underlying case is. Understanding that helps explain why the audio exists in the public record at all, even while so much else about this case, the autopsy chief among it, remains sealed. Right now, this case sits in a kind of holding pattern that's honestly pretty uncomfortable to sit with as an outside observer. The FBI is involved, examining digital evidence. A grand jury is reviewing everything gathered so far, including that still unreleased official autopsy. Wells's family is publicly and repeatedly asking for more transparency, more answers, more of a timeline than they currently feel they've been given. And people connected to the case, his friends specifically, have reportedly received threats, serious enough that federal authorities are now looking into them separately as their own thread within this investigation. That last part matters, and I want to say this plainly, because I think it's easy to lose sight of in true crime spaces where speculation moves faster than fact. However this case eventually resolves, threatening private individuals, including Nolan's friends who have not been charged with anything, and who may well be telling the complete truth about a genuinely terrifying day, isn't accountability. It's just more harm, stacked on top of an already devastating situation, for people who are, right now, also just witnesses in an ongoing investigation. If it turns out later that accountability is warranted, that's what courts and grand juries exist to determine. It is not something that gets decided in a comment section, and it's certainly not something that gets decided through threats made against teenagers who were also on that island that day. So here's where I land, for now. This is a case defined right now by a gap, a roughly 1-hour gap in the timeline nobody has fully accounted for, an unreleased autopsy that could change everything or confirm nothing new, and 2 accounts of the same day that don't fully line up with each other yet. Until the grand jury process concludes and that autopsy becomes public, anyone telling you, with certainty, exactly what happened to Nolan Wells, in either direction, whether that's it was a tragic accident, full stop, or something more troubling, is telling you more than the evidence currently supports. I'd rather leave you with an honest picture of what's actually known than a satisfying one built on guesswork. What isn't in question, through all of this, is that an 18-year-old is dead, and a family is still waiting for a real answer about how and why. I want you to hear this recording the way investigators did, without me narrating over it, without me telling you what to listen for or what conclusion to draw from it. Just the call, in full, exactly as it happened that afternoon. What you're about to hear is the actual audio released by Mississippi's Department of Marine Resources of the call made from that boat to Sea-Tow on July 4th, 2026.
Sea-Tow Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd you say? Hey.
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
All right, well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir?
I don't know the phone number. It's either. I think it's. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like guaranteed. I don't have the tag
unless
on
you
here.
have a membership number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Reach me at 2.
All right. And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's
How
on
many?
board.
All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
All right. All right. Do you have your current GPS coordinates?
Let me go look.
If not, I can send you a text message.
North. All right, are you ready?
Yes, sir. I'm available.
North 3 degrees by 46.72.
All right. 4672. All right. And you were breaking up a little bit. Can you just repeat it one more time to make sure I have it correct?
Sorry, look.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, what?
So you're breaking up. If you need assistance, do you have a VHF radio?
No, we do not have the VHF radio.
All right. Well, let's try to get you going because you don't have good cell phone reception. Can you verify your coordinates one more time?
Okay, my coordinates are 30 degrees by 14.684 north, and then west by 88 degrees by 46.79.
Right. Looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you
Yes,
on
we are
Horn
at Horn
Island?
Island. Yes.
All right. Is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
We are sinking, yes.
Is it aground is the question?
No, we're not aground. We are in
17
foot of water. We're in 31 foot of water.
All right. Have to ask. What do you want to do? Do you want to be towed back?
I want to get this boat unsank and towed back, yes.
All right. Where would you like it towed to, sir?
You can tow it to Ocean Springs Harbor, or Fort Bayou Launch.
All right. How many adults and children on board?
No, there's no children.
So is there anybody on board? How many adults, sir? That was the question. Hello, can you hear me?
Try to jump in and pull the plug while you're going.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yep, I just need you to answer these questions so I can get you over to the captain.
Okay,
How many
what's
adults
going
on board?
There are 0 adults on board.
There's nobody on board the boat?
No. Nobody
right.
here is over the age of 21.
Sir, that was not the question. Is there a person? Is there a person, a living individual on the boat?
Hello?
Is there a living person, someone breathing on the boat? Is there anybody on the boat?
Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat.
All right, how many people, sir?
Like 7.
All right, thank you. Does everyone have life jackets on or available to them?
Yes, we have life jackets available.
All right. Verify what boat's sinking.
a Triton, 22-foot offshore, 22-foot Triton offshore sea flight hull.
All right. All right. Please hold. I'm transferring you to the local captain now.
Okay, thank you.
This is Captain Seth.
Hi, Captain Seth. This is Vicky from International. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. I apologize ahead of time. I really do. You're going to have a fee-for-service come up under...
Okay.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island. He's letting me know that his father's a member, but he can't give me any information. And he's saying the boat is sinking, and he's on Horn Island. It's just unfortunate. He's just a kid. There's a lot going on. So
Right.
he said there's about a lot of people on board. He says he thinks about 7. I'm guessing they're all under 18.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be rude. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Do you know what kind of boat it is?
He said a Triton 24-footer, but that's all he can give me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just actually got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat, and he said,
Okay.
I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now, but if something changes, he'll call me back. So
All right.
I'm guessing that they may have figured it out, because that's what he said. So they're in a panic and their boat won't crank.
Yeah,
Or,
they're in a panic. He's saying the
So-
bilge is not keeping up. I asked for Coast Guard. He said no, but he's just really upset on the back end. And, I get it. It's a
Okay.
kid. He just doesn't understand.
oh, okay. Do you still have him on the line?
Yes, I still have him on the line. And, again, I couldn't find he couldn't give me anything regarding his grandfather's, membership, so it's just under fee-for-service.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just talked to. If you want to, we're so tied up right now. We can't really do any non-member jobs right now.
Is he a member? Did you find out if he was a member or not?
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it's his boat or what. I'm not sure what's going on with it. But yeah, transfer the kid over. I'll talk to him, and then I'll call his grandpa back as well.
All right. And did you want me to look up membership number or anything like that to see if he's up? I know you guys are
You can
swamped.
try this cell phone number.
Yes, sir.
Anything on this phone number?
All right. Yep. Yeah, he's an active member. Hold on.
What kind of boat do you have on there? Same boat?
Yeah, he's one. Yeah, he's one of your members. Yep, 22-foot Triton. All right. I'll just disregard this one. I'm gonna send you over an accurate one under this one. Okay, he's one of your members. You'll get in a couple minutes. Okay.
Okay, perfect. All right, and yeah, just transfer this kid over whenever you get a chance.
All right, transferring now. Thank you again, Captain.
All righty.
Stay safe out there. It's crazy. Have a drink.
Oh, it's wild. All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hello? Hello? Are you there? I apologize. I will be disconnecting due to lack of response.